Jen, after the game, you were on the ESPN interview and you said it was asked, about the moment, and you said this is now Donovan Mitchell sitting. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Why do you think that changing the guard has happened?
Yeah, I mean, there was no disrespect there. I didn't want to disrespect or step on nobody's toes. Like, that's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Obviously, I was a Cavs fan growing up because of him, right? I didn't want to take away him, but I just wanted to give Don his flowers. That was my biggest goal in it. And if I offended anybody or anybody got mad about it, I'm sorry. I take personal responsibility, but I just want to give the man his flowers because we want to do the same thing that Bron and them did here. We want to do that with him as our leader.
Question gets asked more, and the thought, creeps in my mind more at 41 years old of when the end is and where's the finish line for us to hang this thing up. So how much juice I can squeeze out of this orange, and how can I continue to? I'm in a battle with Father of Time, and I'm kind of taking it personal.
We bring in Wendy. Wendy, very candid LeBron after the game. We ask, is there a realistic scenario where LeBron finishes his career not as a Laker, but comes back as a Cavalier and ends things there in Cleveland?
Yeah, there's a realistic scenario. LeBron has two big decisions to make when the season is over, whenever that is for the Lakers. One is he going to play another season? And he's made it very clear he doesn't seem to know, and I believe that. The second thing is, if he's going to play another season, how much money is he willing to play for? Because the Lakers almost certainly are going to ask him to take a pay cut, potentially a significant one. Would he be comfortable doing that to help the team build out, similar to what Dirk Nowitzki did in Dallas at the end of his career? Or would he consider, if he doesn't like the Lakers playing an offer, going somewhere else? And if he wants to go somewhere else, Cleveland is there. There are several different ways they could get him. They definitely have a team where he would fit in, depending on what they might do in the offseason, but they're not going to be able to pay him a huge amount of money. So really this comes down to where his comfort level in doing that is, especially with his family based in LA and the Southwest, with his son playing in Arizona and his other son playing for the Lakers.
Okay, Wendy, we're here in New York City where every question is, who's the Giants offensive coordinator going to be, and are we going to get Giannis? The two-time MVP. We now know, Shams reported yesterday, that Milwaukee is now listening to offers. When you talk to people around the league, which teams are viewed as realistic suitors for Giannis in a trade?
Yeah, so I think the team that you've got to look at who can make a straight-up trade, just a two-team trade with Milwaukee and make a compelling offer, is the Golden State Warriors, primarily because they control all of their trade assets. If they were willing to offer all of them, that's 4 first-round picks, potentially a couple of pick swaps, plus some young players that are interested, including Brandon Pajemski, who's a Milwaukee native. If there are teams out there that can involve a third or fourth team to improve their offer, a team like Miami, for example, and a team like the Knicks, I think the Knicks can make a compelling offer, but it requires them to really abandon what they've got going now and then to go out and recruit third and fourth teams. Those are big hurdles to cross, but I think the Knicks can make a compelling offer. And Shams mentioned that Minnesota Timberwolves. He is not mentioning that for no reason. This is something, from what I understand, that Giannis has interested in. The Timberwolves don't have draft picks and don't have the young players. They'd have to center around veteran players, but that is something that we should keep an eye on as well.
Now to talk a little bit more about LeBron James, but David, we can't start without addressing that right there. Your reaction when you saw that post-game clip?
I turned it to a meme all last night because I was watching my brother do that, and I was like, bless his heart. Just bless that baby's heart. I know he was just 10 months old when LeBron started in the league. He don't know no better. Just bless it. Just put some praying hands on that baby. I'm glad he apologized after the game, but that's the definition of too much dip on the chip for the young
Too much dip on the chip. That was not on my bingo card this morning. An emotional return for LeBron in Cleveland last night. However, do you think it's the last time that he'll be playing there?
Absolutely not. I think the only way this is the last time is if he plays for another team and he's like injured when they're in Cleveland. But I think their chances are LeBron being in a Cleveland jersey are higher than this being the last time that he plays in Cleveland. I think that just speaks to the fact that for the first time really in LeBron James's career, he doesn't know what his next step is. We don't know what his next step is. This guy is always 5 steps ahead, but this thing with the Lakers has a lot of question marks. I think he thought he was going to end his career in LA, but that has fallen apart. So this offseason, things are wide open. But I know this for sure. If LeBron James is going to have his last game in Cleveland, he's not going out with 11 points. He's going to go out like Kobe, putting up 50 shots to put a show for that city.
So it's like, when you've asked yourself, like, why do I keep want to do this? What's that answer been? And has that been a consistent? Has the answer stayed the same throughout this year? Your why?
Yeah. My why has been that I'm still playing this game at a high level, and I still love the process. The process of putting in the work, inspiring, giving what I got to the game, because I'll have more years in my life without it than with it to be able to inspire. I'm not talking about me personally. I think I've done well for myself on a personal note, but it's been the same. Now, obviously, the question gets asked more, and the thought, creeps in my mind. We're at 41 years old. When the finish line for us to hang this thing up. So, but the drive on, how much juice I can squeeze out of this orange, and how can I continue to? I'm in a battle with Father of Time. I'm kind of taking it personally, and see how many more times I could be victorious over him. But I'm not I won't be one of those guys that won't be able to walk off the court. That's for sure. All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, Big Perk back with us now. And sure, it may be a matter of being more present, but it was clearly a lot of emotion shown by Bron in this specific return. Perk, what might this signal for the prodigal son of Cleveland?
That the end is near, and I ain't thinking this year, but next year. And look, I've been knowing LeBron since about 1996, right? And I've never seen him emotional ever. And this one time right here said it all. We have to realize this man has given his entire life to the NBA and the game of basketball. When you talk about greatness, when you talk about blood, sweat, and tears, this is the prime example of that. And LeBron James, listen, what he has done carrying this torch for 2+ decades, I mean, in great fashion, should be applauded. And I believe it will be applauded. I believe he's going to play another year. I believe it should be in the Cavs uniform. And I believe he should have and be grateful and receive that farewell tour with open arms. The NBA wants it. Us as fans wants it. And his peers want it. And LeBron James deserves it.
And I imagine the fact that he would be in a Cleveland uniform, and your suggestion is something to behold for sure. Now, let's dial it back into the game itself. When it comes to the Lakers as a whole, less than an ideal effort defensively, obviously, but what stood out to you in this Lakers loss?
Well, their lack of athleticism. Anytime they play a team that have athletic guards, fast guards, and a dynamic roller, and like a guy like Jared Allen, he was tearing DeAndre Ayton ass up in the first half. And then it came from all over the place in the second half when you look at a young man like Tyson, who looked like a seasoned vet out there. Donovan Mitchell chipped in and did what he do best. And then also you got some great production from DeAndre Hunter. It showed again tonight on national TV that the Lakers' Achilles heel is on the defensive side of things.
All right, Perk, we got some news to get to, so stand by for us right fast, all right?
All right.
So let me ask you something that I need an honest answer to. When did we collectively decide that losing by 30 points to the Cleveland Cavaliers was acceptable for a team with championship aspirations? Because I just watched the Lakers get absolutely demolished 129-99 in Cleveland tonight, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out what's more concerning. The fact that LeBron James looked completely lost in his return to Ohio with only 11 points on 3 of -10 shooting, or the fact that this happened on the exact same day that Giannis Antetokounmpo officially requested a trade, and the Lakers aren't even mentioned among the teams with a legitimate shot at landing him. And before you say it was just one bad game, let me remind you that this is a pattern. The Lakers came into Cleveland riding high after beating Chicago by 11, with Luka dropping 46 and everyone talking about how they're finally figuring things out. And then they proceed to lay an absolute egg on national television and get blown out by the biggest margin LeBron has ever experienced in Cleveland as a visiting player. That's not a coincidence. That's a team that still doesn't know who it is or what it wants to be. And here's what really gets me about tonight's loss. LeBron James, the kid from Akron who conquered Cleveland twice as a player and delivered a championship that the city waited 52 years for, came back to his home state and put up 11 points, 11 the first time in 13 trips to Cleveland as an opposing player that he's failed to. Score at least 20 Shishachi trays 4-10 from the field, missed all 3 of his 3-point attempts. And you could see it in his body language by the third quarter that he just wanted to get out of there. And maybe the most emotional moment of the night was when Cleveland played video highlights during a first quarter timeout of LeBron scoring 25 straight points against Detroit Sheen, the 2007 Eastern Conference Finals, and you could see him tearing up on the bench. That was beautiful. That was a genuine moment of respect and appreciation for everything he did for that franchise. But then the game started again, and the Cavaliers proceeded to beat the Lakers by 30, and all that nostalgia disappeared real quick. Meanwhile, while the Lakers were busy getting embarrassed in Cleveland, the NBA world exploded with news that Giannis Antetokounmpo has officially told the Milwaukee Bucks he's ready for a new home. According to multiple reports that came out today, Giannis has informed the Bucks for months that he believes the moment has come to part ways after 12 plus years together. And Milwaukee is now listening to aggressive offers from several teams ahead of the February 5th trade deadline. The Bucks are 80-27 and sitting 12th in the Eastern Conference. And they finally realized what everyone else figured out 6 months ago, which is that this core isn't working anymore and it's time to blow it up and start over. The fruit runners to land Giannis. The New York Knicks, Golden State Warriors, Miami Heat, and Minnesota Timberwolves. Notice anything missing from that list? That's right, the Los Angeles Lakers aren't even in the conversation. And that should tell you everything you need to know about where this franchise actually stands right now. Before we dive into all of that and break down why the Lakers have absolutely no shot at landing Giannis at this deadline and what it would take for them to even be considered in the summer, make sure you hit that like button, because what I'm about to explain is going to change how you see this Lakers season and where they're actually headed. Let's start with what just happened tonight in Cleveland, because this is the type of loss that can derail a season if you're not careful. The Lakers came into this game with some momentum, having won 3 straight and sitting at 28-17 overall with a 3-1 record on this 8-game road trip. They just beat Chicago convincingly. Rui Hachimura is thriving off the bench, and everyone's talking about how this team is finally starting to figure out its identity. And then they travel to Cleveland and get absolutely annihilated, 129-99 by a Cavaliers team that was missing Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. Let me repeat that for emphasis. The Cavaliers were without 2 of their best players, and they still beat the Lakers by 30 points. That's not a bad shooting night. That's not a case of the other team getting hot. That's a complete and total breakdown on both ends of the floor. Donovan Mitchell led Cleveland with 25 points, Jalen Tyson at 20, DeAndre Hunter added 19, and Jarrett Allen chipped in 17 points and 9 rebounds. The Cavaliers used a massive third quarter to blow the game wide open, and by the time the fourth quarter started, it was already over. The Lakers shot poorly, they defended poorly, they had no energy, and they looked like a team that was already thinking about getting on the plane and moving on to the next game. Luka Doncic led the Lakers with 29 points, which is fine, but he got absolutely no help from anyone else. LeBron had his worst game in Cleveland as a visiting player with only 11 points on 3 of 10 shooting. He was at a 4-3 from 3-point range and looked completely disengaged for most of the night. Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton, Jake LaRavia, none of them provided anything meaningful offensively or defensively. And here's the part that should really concern Lakers fans. This was LeBron's annual trip back to Cleveland, the one game every year where he's supposed to be extra motivated and locked in because he's playing in front of his home state crowd. The Cavaliers showed him love during that first quarter timeout with the video tribute, and you could see how much that meant to him emotionally. But once the game resumed, it was all business, and the Lakers got their doors blown off. LeBron is now 10-3 in games played in Cleveland as a visitor, but he's lost his last 2 trips there, and this was by far the ugliest loss of the bunch. The previous worst margin was probably 15 or 20 points. This was 30. That's embarrassing no matter how you slice it. The Lakers are now 28-80 in overall and 3-2 on this road trip with 3 games remaining in Washington, New York, and Brooklyn. They need to go at least 2-1 in those games to salvage what's been in a pan-down trip. And ideally, they win all 3 to finish 6-2 and head back to Los Angeles with some momentum. But losses like tonight raise serious questions about this team's ceiling. Can you really trust them in a playoff series when they're capable of no showing like this against a shorthanded Cavaliers team? Can you count on LeBron to be consistent at age 41 when he goes from scoring 24 against Chicago 2-11 against Cleveland in the span of 2 days. These are the concerns that aren't going away just because you beat the Bulls. Pensando ben, this team has looked better lately with Rui coming off the bench and the small ball lineups clicking. But tonight proved that they're still wildly inconsistent and prone to these types of embarrassing defeats when the effort isn't there. Now let's talk about the news that broke today and sent shockwaves through the entire NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the two-time MVP and 2021 Finals MVP who has spent all 13 seasons of his career in Milwaukee, has officially informed the Bucks that he's ready for a new home ahead of the February 5th trade deadline. According to the report, several teams have made aggressive offers to Milwaukee, and the Bucks are finally starting to listen. Multiple teams have received the sense that Milwaukee is more open than ever to Giannis offers between now and the deadline, which marks a massive shift from where things stood even a few weeks ago when the Bucks were insisting publicly that they weren't trading their franchise player under any circumstance. Here's the full context of the situation. The Bucks are 80-27 and sitting 12th in the Eastern Conference. They've completely created the season after spending the summer retooling their roster in an attempt to stay competitive. Milwaukee waived Damian Lillard and stretched his remaining contract over 5 years using the stretch provision in order to create cap space to sign Miles Turner away from Indiana. Lillard had torn his Achilles in last year's playoffs and was going to miss the entire 2025-26 season anyway. So the Bucks made the decision to move on and bring in Turner as their new starting center. They also traded Chris Middleton to Washington for Kyle Kuzma at last year's deadline. The idea was that Turner and Kuzma would provide the complementary pieces Giannis needed to compete for another championship. Instead, the Bucks have been a disaster all season long, and Giannis has apparently been telling the front office for months that he wants out. According to the report, Giannis has informed the Bucks that he believes the moment has come to part ways after 12 plus years together, making a trade increasingly possible. The relationship reached a breaking point, and now Milwaukee is faced with a decision. Do they trade Giannis before the February 5th deadline and try to maximize their return? Or do they wait until the summer when more teams will have cap flexibility and draft picks available to trade? The report indicates that Milwaukee has told interested teams they're in no rush to complete a move and are willing to navigate Giannis' future in the offseason if their believed price point of a young talent and/or a surplus of draft picks isn't met by waiting until the summer. The Bucks could also see which teams are able to offer more appealing draft picks in June. So who are the fruit runners to land Giannis? According to the latest reporting, there are 4 teams currently considered strong suitors: the New York Knicks, Golden State Warriors, Miami Heat, and Minnesota Timberwolves. Those are the teams that have either the assets to pull off a trade or the appeal as a destination that could convince Giannis to commit long-term. The Knicks make sense because Giannis has always had interest in playing in New York, and they have players like Julius Randle, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby who could be packaged in a deal. The Warriors make sense because they have all their future draft picks available to trade, and they're desperate to make one more run with Steph Curry before his window closes. The Heat make sense because they've been circling Giannis for years, and Pat Riley knows how to put together championship teams. And the Timberwolves make sense because they have young assets and they're trying to build around Anthony Edwards. Notice who's not on that list: the Los Angeles Lakers. And that should tell you everything about where they stand in the Giannis sweepstakes. The Lakers simply don't have the assets to compete with those teams at this trade deadline. And unless something dramatic changes in the next week, they're going to be on the outside looking in when Giannis gets moved. You Acredito, that's the right assessment of the situation, because when you look at what the Lakers can actually offer compared to what teams like Golden State and New York can put on the table, it's not even close. The Lakers are essentially out of the running unless they're willing to do something absolutely insane like trade Luka Doncic, which obviously isn't happening. Let me break down exactly why the Lakers have no realistic shot at trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo before the February 5th deadline, and it all comes down to basic math and NBA salary cap rule. Giannis is making $54 million this season and $58 million next season. In order to acquire him in a trade, the Lakers would need to send out roughly $52 to $54 million in matching salary to make the deal legal under the NBA's collective bargaining agreement. So let's look at what the Lakers actually have available to trade right now. Luka Doncic is untouchable. He's not going anywhere. LeBron James theoretically could be traded, but that's not happening either, especially not in a deal for Giannis. So you're looking at the rest of the roster. Austin Reaves is making around $13 million this season. Rui Hachimura is at $80 million. Gabe Vincent is at $11 million. Dalton Necht is on a rookie contract worth a few million. If you package Reaves, Rui Vincent, and Necht together, you get to around $45 to $48 million. That's still not enough to match Giannis' salary. You'd probably need to throw in Jared Vanderbilt or Maxi Kleber to get over the threshold. And at that point, you're talking about a 4 or 5 player package just to make the money work. And here's the problem. Even if you could figure out the salary matching, the Bucks aren't accepting that deal. Milwaukee wants a blue-chip young talent, which presumably means someone under 25 years old with all-star upside. Austin Havs is 27 years old, and while he's a very good player, he's not a blue-chip young talent in the way that someone like Paolo Banchero or Scotty Barnes would be considered. Rui Hachimura is 26, and he's a solid role player, but he's not moving the needle for a rebuilding team. Then there's the draft pick situation, which is even more complicated. The Lakers currently can only trade their 2031 or 2032 first-round pick due to the Stepien rule, which prevents teams from trading first-round picks in consecutive years. The Lakers already traded away multiple future picks in the deal to acquire Luka Doncic from Dallas, so their draft capital is extremely limited right now. They can't trade both the 2031 and 2032 picks because they're consecutive years. They have to choose one or the other. And even if they threw in their 2031 first-rounder along with Reaves, Rui, Vincent, and Necht, is that really a better offer than what Golden State can put on the table? The Warriors have Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, multiple first-round picks, and the financial flexibility to take on Giannis' salary. The Knicks have Randall, Bridges, Anunoby, and pick swaps they can offer. The Lakers just can't compete with that at this deadline. And here's the other issue that nobody wants to talk about. Even if the Lakers somehow pulled off a miracle and convinced Milwaukee to take their package, they'd be gutting the entire roster around Luka and Giannis. You'd have Luka, Giannis, LeBron, DeAndre Ayton, and literally nobody else. You'd have no depth, no shooting, no bench scoring, nothing. You'd be hoping to sign minimum contract guys in the buyout market to fill out the roster, and good luck winning a championship with that. The Lakers would essentially be betting everything on Luka and Giannis being so good together that they could overcome having zero supporting cast. And while that duo would be absolutely incredible on paper, basket, ball is still a team sport, and you need more than 2 guys to win in the playoffs. Pensando bem, the Lakers would be better off standing pat at this deadline, keeping their roster intact, and making a run at Giannis in the summer when they have more flexibility and assets available to trade. Which brings us to the summer of 2026, when the Lakers will actually have a realistic shot at acquiring Giannis if he's still available and interested in coming to Los Angeles. Here's why the offseason makes so much more sense for the Lakers than trying to force something at this deadline. First, and most importantly, the Lakers will have their 2026 first-round pick available to trade on draft night. That pick becomes tradable on June 1st, which means the Lakers could offer 2 first-round picks in a deal instead of just 1. They could package their 2026 and 2031 picks together, or their 2026 and 2032 picks, and suddenly they have real draft capital to put on the table. That makes a huge difference when you're trying to compete with teams like Golden State who have multiple picks available. Second, Austin Reaves will likely sign a contract extension during the summer, which means his salary will be higher and more valuable in trade discussions. Right now, Reaves is making around $13 million, but when he signs his next deal, it'll probably be in the $25 to $30 million per year range based on how well he's played this season. A $30 million Austin Reaves contract is a lot more attractive to a rebuilding team than a $30 million Austin Reaves contract, especially if Milwaukee's trying to take back salary and stay somewhat competitive rather than completely bottoming out. The Bucks could theoretically build around Reaves, Rui, and whatever draft picks they get from the Lakers if they wanted to try to retool on the fly rather than go into full rebuild mode. Third, the Lakers will have more cap space flexibility in the summer. Several contracts are coming off the books, and the Lakers will be able to structure a trade that works better financially without having to gut the entire roster. They could potentially keep some of their depth pieces and still make the money work for Young. And fourth, by waiting until the summer, the Lakers get to see how the rest of this season plays out. What if Austin Reaves comes back from his calf injury and doesn't look the same? What if LeBron decides he wants to retire or go play somewhere else? What if the Lakers make a deep playoff run and decide they don't want to break up what they have? All of those scenarios become clearer after the season ends, and then the Lakers can make an informed decision about whether trading for Giannis is actually the right move. The other elephant in the room that needs to be discussed is whether Giannis even wants to come to the Lakers. He has a player option for the 2027-28 season, which means he has significant leverage over where he ends up. Giannis could essentially tell teams he's not interested in playing for them long term, which would kill any potential trade before it even gets off the ground. Nobody's giving up a massive package of players and picks for Giannis if he's just going to leave in free agency after 1 or 2 years. So Giannis has a seat at the table in determining his next destination, and from everything we're hearing, his preference is to go to New York. Golden State or Miami, the Lakers aren't on his wish list, at least not right now. That could change if Los Angeles makes a deep playoff run this year and proves they're a legitimate contender. But as of today, the Lakers aren't among the front. EU Acredito. The smart play for the Lakers is to stand pat at this trade deadline. Focus on getting Austin Reaves healthy, continue building chemistry with the current roster, and then make a big push for Giannis in the summer if he's still available. Trying to force a trade right now with limited assets and no guarantee that Giannis wants to be in Los Angeles long term is a recipe for disaster. Be patient, let the situation play out, and strike when the timing is better and you actually have the ammunition to compete with other suitors. Let's rewind to just 2 days ago when everything felt great and the Lakers seemed like they were finally figuring things out. On Monday night, the Lakers traveled to Chicago and beat the Bulls 129-180 in what was a solid wire-to-wire victory. Luka Doncic dropped 46 points with 11 assists and 7 rebounds, completely taking over the game and looking every bit like the best player in basketball. LeBron James scored 20 of his 24 points in the first half, setting the tone early and then letting Luka cook in the second. Rui Hachimura came off the bench and went 9-for-11 from the field for 23 points with 4 made threes. Continuing his hot streak as the sixth man and proving that he's fully embraced that role, Marcus Smart made winning plays. The Lakers shot 56% from the field and 48% from 3, and they controlled the game from start to finish despite a Bulls run in the third quarter. That was the type of win that makes you feel good about where the team is headed. The Lakers moved to 28-17 overall and 3-1 on their 8-game road trip. And everyone was talking about how they're starting to build some real momentum heading into the trade deadline. The small ball lineups were clicking, Rui's bench production was solving their depth issue. And even without Austin Reaves, the Lakers looked dangerous. And then they went to Cleveland and laid a complete egg, losing by 30 and reminding everyone that this team is still wildly inconsistent and capable of no-show when the effort isn't there. That's the Lakers in a nutshell this season. They can beat Chicago by 11 with Luka going for 46, and then turn around 2 days later and lose to Cleveland by 30 with LeBron scoring 11. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no consistency. You never know which version of this team is going to show up on any given night. The Bulls game also highlighted how important Rui Hachimura has become to this Lakers team since moving to the bench. He's averaging close to 20 points per game over his last 5 or 6 contests. He's shooting the 3 ball with confidence, and he's providing exactly what the Lakers need from a 6th man. The problem is that one guy playing well off the bench doesn't solve all your problems. You still need the starters to show up every night. You still need LeBron to be engaged defensively, and you still need DeAndre Ayton to provide something other than 6 points and 8 rebounds. The Bulls game was a feel-good win that got completely erased by the Cleveland disaster, and now the Lakers are back to square one trying to figure out what they are and whether they can be trusted in big games. Pensando Bim beating Chicago was nice, but it doesn't mean anything if you follow it up by getting blown out in Cleveland 2 days later. This team needs to find some consistency and fast, because the playoffs are only a few months away and nobody's scared of a Lakers team that's this up and down. And finally, let's talk about Austin Reaves, who remains sidelined with the calf strain that's kept him out for 16 straight games now. Reaves was ruled out for tonight's game in Cleveland, which wasn't a surprise given how cautious the Lakers have been with his return. He's been cleared for full contact work in practice and has played in stay-ready scrimmages, but the Lakers are taking their time making sure he's 100% healthy before putting him back in the lineup. And honestly, that's the right approach. Reaves already reaggravated this calf injury once earlier in the season, and the last thing the Lakers need is for him to come back too soon. Play a few games and then go down again for another month. If that happens, you're basically writing off any chance at a deep playoff run because this team desperately needs Reaves, scoring, and playmaking. The latest timeline has Reaves potentially returning on Friday against Washington, which would be the Lakers' next game after tonight's loss in Cleveland. If not Friday, then definitely by the weekend when the Lakers play in New York and Brooklyn to close out this road trip. JJ Redick has said multiple times that Reaves will return during this road trip, so we should see him back in the lineup within the next few days. The question then becomes what his role will be when he returns. Does he come off the bench for a few games on a minutes restriction while he shakes off the rust? Or does he go straight back into the starting lineup and play his normal 30+ minutes per game? My guess is that Redick brings him off the bench for the first game or two, limits him to 20 to 25 minutes, and then gradually increases his workload as he gets more comfortable. But knowing Reaves and his competitive nature, he's probably going to push to start and play as many minutes as possible right away. When Reaves does return, the rotation is going to get interesting because someone's losing their starting spot. Right now, the Lakers are starting Marcus Smart, Luka, Jake LaRavia, DeAndre Ayton, and LeBron. Smart has been solid lately, averaging close to 14 points per game over his last stretch. And LaRavia has provided energy and rebounding. But Reaves is too good to be coming off the bench long term, so either Smart or LaRavia is going to get bumped to the second unit. My money's on Smart being the one who goes to the bench, with Reaves sliding back into the starting shooting guard spot and LaRavia keeping his spot at small forward for now. But we'll see how JJ decides to handle it. The important thing is just getting Reaves back healthy and letting him find his rhythm over a few games before expecting him to immediately be the 26 assist guy he was before the injury. The Lakers have 3 games left on this road trip, and if they can go 2-1 or better to finish 5-3 overall on the trip, that would be a solid result despite tonight's blowout loss. Getting Reaves back for at least 1 or 2 of those games would be a huge boost, and then the Lakers can head back to Los Angeles with some momentum and start preparing for the final push toward the playoffs. Eu acredito his return is going to be the most important factor in determining how far this Lakers team can go this season. Assuming they stay healthy and don't make any panic moves at the trade deadline, but they need to be patient with him. Let him get his legs back under him and not put too much pressure on him to be perfect immediately. Give him a handful of games to shake off the rust, and then by mid-February he should be back to his normal all-star caliber self. Drop your comments below. Do you think the Lakers have any chance at landing Giannis in the summer? Should they even be trying to trade for him? Or should they focus on smaller moves to improve the roster? And how do you feel about tonight's embarrassing loss in Cleveland? Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one.